3 years ago, the four highest paid players on the New York Yankees were newly signed ace Garrett Cole, former MVP winner Giancarlo Stanton, Japanese phenom Masahiro Tanaka, and Jacoby Ellsbury, a guy who hadn't played in a game for them since 2017. He was paid more than Brett Gardner, DJ LeMahieu, and Aaron Judge, all of whom played significant games for the pandemic squad. His massive contract with the Yankees is regarded as one of the worst in recent baseball memory, which makes it easy to forget how dynamic and exciting he once was. Ellsbury was one of the most prolific stolen base threats for a multi-year stretch, then put together one of the greatest seasons ever by a power speed athlete in baseball history. He helped the Red Sox capture 2 separate championship rings amidst adversity and injury, but it's what came after his days in Boston that shocked the baseball world. A massive contract with the arch-rival Yankees that not only aged poorly, but likely hamstrung the Bronx Bombers from being the team they once were for a trio of frustrating seasons. This is the complete story of his curious career. Ellsbury, a former first-round pick in 2005, sped through the minor leagues in less than 2 full seasons in his early 20s. In 250 minor league games, Ellsbury hit .314 and swiped over 100 bases, including hitting .450 at Double-A in his brief stint there. He got so good so fast that he earned a call-up for a Red Sox team, absolutely dominating the American League in 2007. In 25 games in September, he had a .927 OPS and hit safely in all but just 2 of those games, winning AL Rookie of the Month honors in the process. Ellsbury, Dustin Pedroia, and Clay Buchholz were the rookie spark plugs that the Boston team needed to finish 2007 strong, winning the AL East handily. While he wasn't a big contributor in the first 2 rounds of their playoff run, he made his presence known with a stellar performance in the final 3 games of the World Series. Ellsbury went 7 for 12 with 4 doubles and 2 RBIs atop the lineup alongside other rookie Dustin Pedroia. The rookie duo became the first in World Series history with at least 3 hits each in a game, which occurred in Game 3. In that game, Ellsbury's 4-hit performance made him just the 3rd rookie ever to do so in a single World Series game. The Red Sox swept the Fall Classic in convincing fashion, finishing an incredibly successful season with a rather anticlimactic final matchup against the Colorado Rockies. I actually just talked about that very series on this channel, and the words I used were not exactly delicate. But Ellsbury's career was just getting started. He had played so little in 2007 that he still qualified as a rookie the next season, despite already having a championship ring under his belt. Atop the Boston lineup from the beginning of the season, Ellsbury flourished, stealing 35 bases with 20 extra base hits in the first half of 2008. Ellsbury stole 25 consecutive bases without being caught until he was finally caught stealing in a game on May 18th. He was only 2 stolen bases shy of the Major League record held by Tim Raines in 1979, which was of course later broken by Tim LeCastro. Ellsbury's squad won 95 games in both the 2008 and 2009 seasons, where he hit .291 in nearly 300 games of play. He also stole 50 bases in the former season and then an incredible 70 bases in the latter. He's one of just 24 players to eclipse the 70 stolen base plateau since the beginning of the expansion era in 1961. And of course, he shattered the Red Sox franchise record for steals in a season in the process. Only one player has stolen 70 bases in a season since, that being Ronald Acuna Jr. in his historic 40-70 season from 2023. Since the year 2000, there are only 5 players to steal 120 bases or more in a 2-season span, and Ellsbury is on that list, alongside some of the fastest players in baseball's modern era, like Juan Pierre, Jose Reyes, and Daniel Vogelbach. You guys like the game 2 Truths and a Lie? Stolen base records may be skewed from here on out with the new base rules implemented in 2023, which I do like, but Ellsbury's speedy records remain unblemished. But while his speed was otherworldly, his bat was suffering from a lack of power. He had a below-league average OPS plus in each of his first 2 full seasons, only made worse by the fact that he missed most of the 2010 season with rib injuries due to an early season collision with third baseman Adrian Beltre. The injury was severe for Ellsbury, who couldn't sleep for months and went on several pain medications trying to hurry along the healing process to no avail. The Red Sox missed the playoffs for the first time since 2006, leaving many unsure of what to expect from Ellsbury heading into the 5th year of his career. It should be noted that Ellsbury hit just 20 home runs in his first 4 years as a big leaguer, spanning 350 games from 2007 to 2010. No one expected a power outburst from Ellsbury anytime soon, but many were surprised to see Jacoby cruise through a splendid first half of the season, setting a career high in home runs at the halfway mark of the season with 11 bombs in 89 games to go along with an .867 OPS. The crazier part is that this was the weaker of his two halves that season, as he improved in the final 3 months at a torrid pace. He slugged at a 700 clip in July and hit at least 7 home runs in each of the final 3 calendar months. Despite the Red Sox collapsing around him in fantastic fashion, which we have also discussed at length around this channel, Ellsbury remained a consistent masher at the plate. He hit .358 with an OPS over 1,000 in their dismal month of September. Overall, he crushed 32 home runs as part of a sudden power surge at age 27. Since the year 2000, only 9 players have recorded a 30 home run, 30 stolen base season while also hitting over .320. In the American League, Ellsbury recorded more plate appearances and Fangraphs wins above replacement than any other player in baseball, and he also ranked in the top 5 for the American League for stolen bases, doubles, home runs, batting average, slugging percentage, and OPS. His 2011 season remains one of the best of the modern baseball era and one of the best by a center fielder ever, resulting in him winning a Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, and the Comeback Player of the Year award after playing just 18 games the year prior. Since 2010, it ranks in the top 6 for the most valuable seasons by FWAR, better than the best years of Hall of Fame bound players like Bryce Harper, Jose Altuve, and Freddie Freeman. At the time, his 9.5 FWAR was the best of any center fielder in the past 15 years of play, going all the way back to Ken Griffey Jr.'s lone MVP campaign in 1997. Only Mike Trout, Buster Posey, Mookie Betts, and Aaron Judge have posted higher amounts than what he achieved in 2011. All of those guys have something in common, with each of them taking home the MVP award in their respective seasons. This, however, was not the case for the Red Sox center fielder, with him landing as the runner-up in one of the more tightly contested MVP races ever, losing out to Justin Verlander. You can make really compelling arguments for any of Ellsbury, Jose Bautista, Curtis Granderson, and Miguel Cabrera, all of whom received multiple first-place votes this season. And while Justin Verlander was definitely insane in this season with over 250 innings pitched, a 2.40 ERA, and 0.92 WHIP, you can argue that it's not even the best season of his surefire Hall of Fame career. The purist in me would have liked to see an MVP award go to a position player, Ellsbury or somebody else, but in the end, the history is sealed, and this would be the closest Ellsbury would get to that glory by far. The unbelievable nature of his historic 2011 campaign is what made the year after especially disappointing. He played just 7 games in April of 2012 before a double play collision caused significant damage to his right shoulder, sidelining him for 3 months. He played out the rest of the season once he returned in July, but it was clear that the outfielder was not 100%, with just 3 home runs in the final 2 months of the season. It didn't help that 2012 was overall a miserable season for the Boston Red Sox, featuring a one-and-done manager tenure for Bobby Valentine, a myriad of early season injuries to Ellsbury, Carl Crawford, and Andrew Bailey, a blown 9-0 lead against the rival New York Yankees, manager trash talk and an eventual trade of fan favorite Kevin Youkilis, Pedro Siriaco hitting like Ted Williams for a month because why not, a salary dump of epic proportions, and 93 losses, the most in a season for Boston since 1965, nearly 50 years in the making. However, the 2013 squad washed that all the way pretty quickly, going on a miracle run to another World Series. This was also Jacoby Ellsbury's contract year, so it was a very important season, with 2 of his past 3 seasons completely skewed by injury, and the other one being one of the best seasons by a center fielder in baseball history. While he was not at 2011 level, Ellsbury did return to form, leading MLB with 52 stolen bases, and more importantly, staying on the field for over 130 games and recording a 113 OPS+. That takes us to the 2013 offseason, with many people aware of Boston's persistent efforts to secure an extension with Jacoby Ellsbury before the season concluded. However, the sides remained pretty far apart in their talks, with Boston never budging from their offer of $20 million in average annual value and never exceeding $120 million overall. His agent, Scott Boras, who was embroiled in a feud with Jay-Z, of all people, was aiming for the skies with these contract talks. He had Ellsbury seeking offers closer to $150 million, and many initially scoffed at this notion, that is, until the Yankees met that number and then some. A little over a month after securing his second World Series ring with Boston, Jacoby Ellsbury departed to play for their bitter rival, signing a 7-year, $153 million contract with New York. At the time, it was the 3rd richest contract ever handed out to an outfielder, and though the number has been blown out in the decade of baseball since, this was a massive deal at the time. The whole situation was eerily similar similar to that of Johnny Damon, who the Yankees lured away from Boston after a championship year and who Ellsbury was compared to heavily in his prospect days. Unsurprisingly, in his first game at Fenway Park as a non-Boston player, Ellsbury was met with a chorus of boos in his return. Although it likely didn't meet his $20 million annual price tag, Ellsbury's first season in the Pinstripes in 2014 wasn't bad by any means. The biggest red flag, his health, didn't end up being a huge factor, with the outfielder playing over 149 games, which was his highest total since his near MVP campaign 3 years prior. While his counting stats were good to the tune of 156 hits and 39 stolen bases, Ellsbury ranked as just the 23rd most valuable outfielder with his 3.6 F4, not necessarily living up to the hype of his hefty contract. The Yankees missed the playoffs for a second consecutive year, the first time that had happened to them in 2 decades. Not that it's a competition, but I was enduring my 8th straight year of no playoffs, so there's levels to this whole New York sports fandom thing. Things got worse before they got better for Ellsbury. The 2015 season started well enough for him, hitting .333 with 14 stolen bases in the first 35 games of the season. But then the biggest concern began to rear its ugly head. Ellsbury hit the injured list with a right knee sprain. At age 31, the wear and tear of Ellsbury's hard-nosed style of play was beginning to take effect. A guy who had hurt himself sliding hard, diving for balls, and colliding with fielders was bound to lose durability in his old age, and in year 2 of a big 7-year deal, those injury concerns would only continue to grow. From this knee sprain, he missed 2 full months of play, and upon his return, he failed to match his early season production. He didn't miss any time for the remainder of the season, but it was clear that Ellsbury was playing with lingering ailments. He was even benched in the American League wildcard game in favor of midseason acquisition Chris Young, not that one, in a game that the Yankees would lose to the Houston Astros. Ellsbury stayed healthy for the whole 2016 season, but it became easily the worst full season of his career. His speed and defense continued to wane, with Ellsbury slugging well under .400 and posting one of his worst stolen base success rates of his career. As the Yankees missed the playoffs again for the 3rd time in 4 years, Ellsbury's leash officially ran out in 2017. After a concussion in May that sidelined him for a full month, he was benched in favor of other outfield options in Aaron Hicks and Clint Frazier during the Yankees' surprising return to relevancy. Yes, there indeed was a point in time where Yankee fans were clamoring for Aaron Hicks and Clint Frazier to start in baseball games. What a world. While the new era of Yankees baseball was being ushered in by the Baby Bombers, this same movement also signaled the bitter end of the Ellsbury era. A right oblique strain and torn labrum in his right hip sidelined Ellsbury for the entirety of 2018. Plantar fasciitis and a shoulder injury killed any hope of a return in 2019, despite the promises of Scott Boras. And in the offseason, the Yankees finally released Jacoby Ellsbury, eating the remaining $26 million of his contract.
His time in New York was not very well received, as he was a mixed bag of injuries and mediocre play that left him in the eye of a lot of Yankees fans. I would like to find Jacoby. Have you seen him? Have you seen him run? More injuries, rumors, but no signs of Jacoby. Where has he been? What has he seen?
Now, they did try to get out of that $26 million, attempting to withhold the money after learning that Ellsbury used a medical rehab facility outside of the Yankees' jurisdiction without permission. However, when the Players Association caught wind of this, a grievance was filed pretty quickly, and the Yankees ended up forking over the money anyways. In his 4 seasons of play with the Yankees, Ellsbury compiled 8.0 F4, a full win and a half less than his lone All-Star season in 2011. In each of those Yankees years, though, he was one of the 4 highest paid players on the team. In the years since this disaster of a contract, Jacoby Ellsbury has gone quiet, but he's certainly picked a side. He returned to Fenway and donned a Red Sox uniform for Dustin Pedroia's retirement ceremony in 2021, to the shock of some. As for a reflection on his career as a whole, peculiar is an understatement. 2 World Series championships, a trio of stolen base titles, a runner-up MVP finish that he likely could have won, and numerous other accolades usually translate to a solid MLB career. But for Ellsbury, it feels as though he wasn't able to accomplish as much as he could have. For Ellsbury, it's a tale as old as time. Injuries prevented him from reaching the heights he was seemingly destined for, and a price tag far exceeding his value on the field ultimately defined his legacy in baseball. I think ever since this especially poor contract, many teams have used the situation as something of a cautionary tale in their own pursuits for a position player free agent. A player isn't always represented by their peaks. Sometimes they're more represented by their valleys. But that'll do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the Jolly Olive channel. I'll see you guys next time.